So I mentioned in the last video that I would like to put Gojo up against numerous different characters, including characters from the Bleach verse, and I did also mention that yes, he is a pretty powerful character. If you were to drop him in some of the different shonen shows like Naruto, Dragon Ball, and Bleach, he would do a lot of damage. Now, not everyone, but a good chunk of people did seem to think that this was preposterous and that Gojo cannot do any damage to their beloved verse. And as much as I hate to do it, I was like, well, I really do need people to put some respect on Gojo's name, so let's just do Gojo versus Bleach. This is not Gojo Solo's Bleach, this is just how well will he do in the Bleach verse. Now, if you enjoy this kind of like power scaling content, I upload every Wednesday and Sunday, although I am planning to start uploading on Fridays as well. And if that interests you, go ahead and give me a like and subscribe, as it does really help me out on the road to 10K. That is the big main next goal that I would love to hit. And I would greatly appreciate if you drop a like and subscribe. Also, click that join button to further support the channel. If you want to go that extra mile, you got access to hidden videos on the channel. Like, I have debates that I've had with people that I upload for members only, and I have past live streams available for members only. But enough of that, let's go ahead and jump into this video, starting off by talking about what Bleach brings to the table. So hopefully everybody watched my Gojo video, so you kind of know some of the information I'm going to be going over in this video. But there's a few different tiers that this character can get to, although I would say the two that you're probably going to see him commonly placed at are going to be Planetary or Infinite 3D, or just like High Universal basically. Although if I say High Universal, people are probably going to think of 4D because of the Versus Wiki tiering. So to just make it abundantly clear, when I say he has like Infinite 3D or he's like a High Universal being, it just means that he has the power to destroy like infinite mass. And it's just like a really like fancy way of saying that, like, oh, even if you're like multi-galaxy plus 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 plus, you don't scale to this guy because he has infinite third dimensional power. However, I actually do think the infinity like scaling for him is a bit iffy, because it's based on him saying that, like, I bring the infinity into reality, but infinity in that scene is not the only way you can translate like that actual word. It could mean like limitless, or I bring this power into reality. It's kind of like if Zuko said, I bring fire into reality when I bend, right? The guy from Avatar. If he said, I bring fire into reality, it'd be like, yeah, so what? That's what your power does. You bend fire. So saying that Gojo has like infinite third dimensional power, or he's like a high universal character, is definitely a very, very high ball that you have to use a specific translation to even get him to that tier. I think Planetary is a bit more comfortable for him because everybody in the verse seems to think he scales above full power Sukuna. When Itadori first asked Gojo, he's like, hey, if Sukuna goes to full power, could you beat him? Like, are you going to be there to stop him? And Gojo's like, yeah, I would be able to beat him, but it would be kind of tough. But then the Curse faction does seem to think this as well, because not only do they want to make friends with the protagonist so they can release Sukuna, but they're like, we gotta seal Gojo, because if Gojo's just running around, he's gonna thwart all of our plans. Even if we have Sukuna, that's not good enough. We have to seal Gojo. And at the back of every single manga volume, they say Sukuna has the power to destroy the planet. I've seen some arguments that this only means society, but they literally say the world as we know it. And the world as we know it, like, I don't know about you, but I know about Earth in its entirety. I don't just know about the various societies on the planet. Like, I know it as the planet Earth. It's a very weird argument to say that they mean society, because they blatantly say the world as we know it. So for this video, we'll operate under Planetary Gojo as kind of a base, and then we'll kind of have this infinite power Gojo in the back if we really just want to highball him to give him the benefit of the doubt. And then there's speed, and I'm just going to tell you guys right now, if he doesn't have the inaccessible speed feat, then he's getting washed by most characters in the verse. Because outside of that inaccessible speed feat, there's not a whole lot of other like really good speed feats for Jujutsu Kaisen, especially not when compared to Bleach reaching like millions upon millions of times the speed of light, if not much faster. The reason this is a cause for concern is that depending on your translation, again, Gojo might not have actually moved in a realm with no time. Now he says time doesn't pass in this realm, and that is one of the translations. So you hear that and you say, okay, so he's moving in a realm where there is no time. But other translations show that that might not be the case, and it might just be, oh no, you just don't age in this realm, or this realm just prevents aging. And that's what he's meaning in this moment. So if there actually is time in this realm and there's like nothing special about it aside from the fact that, yeah, you just don't age in the realm, then Gojo loses a massive speed advantage. So I'll break this up into a few parts. We'll talk about how far Gojo would get if he was like planetary and had this insane speed. We'll talk about how far he would get if he had infinite power and his insane speed. And then we'll talk about how far he would get if he was just planetary and had like maybe equal speed just to actually give him a fighting chance. So with that being said, let's talk about how he would do. So the hypothetical full power, like infinite power, inaccessible speed Gojo, the strongest one, right? What a shocker, basically beats everybody in the Bleachverse save for Yuha, Aizen, and Ichigo, since they scale to being able to destroy numerous realms in the Bleachverse. These realms themselves being infinite in terms of their size. Even if we humor Gojo and say that the Bleach characters don't reach any higher infinity levels of speed, he wouldn't be able to damage them at all. And then we would just have like Yuha and Aizen just basically sitting there just tanking attacks from Gojo and just waiting for him to die. They would just outlast him basically. But then everybody else just pretty much gets washed. As there's not a whole lot of people that really scale to having like infinite power in terms of Bleach. There are like some things you could pull out. You could use some of the scaling from some of the Bleach movies, as Kubo does seem to acknowledge that these movies are somewhat canon. He encourages people to go watch the movies and the anime filler, as he does feel like they extrapolate on content that he never got the chance to cover. So when the author is like, yeah, go watch this movie, I helped make the movies, you know, I think it really fills in the holes for some of the Bleach plot. I think it's a really good thing for you to go watch. Does that make it canon? I mean, it's a little iffy, right? It could just be him being like, oh yeah, I worked on this movie, they're telling me to promote it, so go watch the movie. But maybe he doesn't consider it canon to his manga, but he considers it to be canon to the entire Bleachverse as a whole. It's very, very weird, because he never comes out and says like, yes, this is part of the canon. The only time he really does that is with the first movie, which funnily enough is the movie that actually has Senna destroying the Valley of Screams, and it also says the Valley of Screams are infinite in terms of their size. So if you want to use that as some justification for Bleach characters having infinite power like earlier on in the series, you can. It's a bit odd though, because Senna can only output that level power as like the Shinenju, right? And nobody really scales to her being the Shinenju except for the Kido canon, which then we just get into the Naruto Moon canon arguments, and I'm just going to let you guys have that in the comments down below. We do not have enough time to unravel all of that. So if you want to use that and you want to try to scale like normal Kido people to having infinite power because they can power a cannon that can combat the Shinenju, that's perfectly fine. That just means Gojo doesn't get very far at all and he just gets stomped, right? But if you don't want to use that, or you don't think it's valid, you don't think it even has infinite power, you don't want to use the movies, for whatever reason, if you don't accept it, then Gojo's tearing a fat hole through the entire Bleach verse until he gets to Yuha, Ichigo, and Aizen. People do try to use the Sokyoku and scale it to people, but the Sokyoku doesn't really scale to anybody because it either always kills somebody, or when Ichigo blocks it, Ichigo doesn't block the Sokyoku's full power, as Rukia directly implies that it was not coming at him with the intent to kill because it was going after Rukia. And she says, you're not going to be able to block the second hit, so implying the first hit was meant to kill Rukia. Ichigo's obviously much stronger than Rukia, is able to block the hit fairly easily. The second hit, the infinite existence erasing power, is coming after Ichigo, and Rukia's like, I don't think you're going to be able to block that, dude. Now, if you do want to say that Ichigo was confident he could block it, and that maybe implies he scales to it in some way, then again, by all means, go for it. If that's the level you're gonna go at, then just have fun, dude. Again, argue with people in the comments below on that one. Because if that's the case, then yeah, everybody past like Shikai Ichigo in the Soul Society arc has like multiversal destroying power, which I know some people are gonna be very fine with that. They're gonna be like, yeah, that's awesome, dude. And there's other people that are like, that sounds so stupid. So again, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just saying this is a potential stop for Gojo. If you want to use it, then go ahead. I want to make sure I cover all grounds here, right? I want to make sure I cover all the grounds. I don't want to just say that Gojo stomps everybody. You know, as the Bleach Hub guy, I gotta make sure that I at least give Bleach some out, right? But after that, as you can guess, it doesn't really get very good for Gojo, because then outside of having infinite power, if he's just planetary, I mean, even though he could speed blitz everybody, he's not going to be able to kill them, because anybody that scales above Dangai Ichigo or Yamamoto should be way surpassing planetary at this point. Even the Espada are debatably like star level, although I don't know if I buy that a whole bunch. Basically, the argument comes in that they're able to destroy Las Noches, which contains a star, although the counter argument to that is that it's similar to the Room of Spirit and Time, where the Room of Spirit and Time might be this like nigh infinite space, but Vegeta destroying like the door or blowing up the actual little home base thing, whatever it is, doesn't actually scale to him destroying the realm. As the realm itself still exists, he just destroyed basically the door to it. You would argue that's kind of the same thing, although Aizen is said to blatantly have created that star, so anybody stronger than Aizen or even relative to Aizen should be maybe star level. Just throwing that out there as well. And yeah, unfortunately, the tierings really don't match up very well for Gojo to fight characters in Bleach, because Planetary is a tier that Bleach kind of just moves around. They don't really scale to Planetary, they just like jump over it. Now, obviously you could downplay some of the characters to get them to Planetary. You can be like, well, Yuha's gonna destroy the world of the living, and that has Earth in it, right? That's Planetary. Yeah, but it also has like the sun and like numerous stars in the night sky, and people are like, no, we're just gonna downplay it to Planetary. So if you're gonna downplay Bleach, I guess you could get them to Planetary, but realistically, they just yeet right over that tier. You have like some mountain level feats in the Soul Society arc, then you get some like country to multi-continental stuff, and then Aizen's like, yeah, by the way, I created a star. Then Yamamoto and his Bankai is destroying like numerous solar systems, and then Yuha's like, by the way, I'm multiversal because I absorbed God. So not a whole lot of room for you to get into Planetary. I guess there's like Gremmy, who's like galaxy level as well. You can mention him. But yeah, not a whole lot of just like, I'm just going to specifically destroy this planet. There's not a whole lot of that going on in the Bleach verse. And unfortunately, since they don't really scale relatively, like they don't have similar scaling, I can't actually get into their abilities, because it's quite literally I either stomp you, like I speed blitz you and I one-shot you, or I get speed blitzed in one shot by these characters. Again, maybe you would say that like, well, even if Gojo's Planetary, he has the infinity, right? The ability itself is an infinity that he puts between them. But again, that's not the only translation you can use for the ability, and that is just the name of the ability. He says that's just the infinity I put between us, but that is actually like highlighted and bolded to show that that's the name of the technique. So you could just put in the other technique. It's also called the Limitless as well. So you could just say, like, oh, that's the Limitless that I put between us. It would be synonymous of him saying, like, oh, that's the firepower that I put between us, right? You wouldn't then just be like, oh my goodness, it's infinite. It's like, no, that's just the name of the technique. He's basically just pushing numbers in between you guys so you can't touch it. But there are factors that can negate the infinity and his ability, like, for instance, domains. You know, something just being stronger than it can overpower it. But I would love to hear you guys' thoughts in the comments down below. I'm obviously a huge fan of Gojo, but I don't want to just say that he's like solos the entire Bleachverse, because he definitely does not. There are characters like Yuha that are still broken. Yuha's, you know, still broken in this day and age. He's not any less broken. But I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts in the comments down below. My Discord is linked in the description if you want to talk about this further. Obviously, this is a very speed run version of this topic. I'm obviously trying to cram a lot of information into a digestible video. I don't really like doing like 30 to 40 minute videos on these topics because I feel like they're boring. I know there's probably a lot of people that would love for me to do like 40-minute videos, but I just can't do it. I prefer the short 10 to 20 minute video. I feel like it's more digestible. So if you have any questions, you can come into the Discord server. I can't promise that I won't give you a snarky response. That's just how I am. But eventually, you probably will get an answer out of me somewhat. Or you can just hop into a vocal chat where I'm far more likely to respond. Like and subscribe, click that join button, all that good stuff. And with that being said, I will catch you guys in the next video. You guys have yourselves a nice day. Peace, late guys.